I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to pay attention to your reaction. What really matters? Do you feel it? The multitude of answers rushing in your head as you try to establish what matters the most. You can tell me what your answer is, but to me, this question is absolutely paralyzing, or even scary in some ways. And not because of the answers that come to me, but to the answers that come to everyone else. Another question we can ask ourselves is, do we really think about the world beyond ourselves? We live in a world where people starve and die daily. People suffer through illness and disability, and they're begging for just one more day to live. They're begging for their children to live. There are no smiles there. It's just painful. But right over here, we sit down comfortably, we watch our sports games, we eat our tasty food, and we play our video games. We decide to entertain ourselves despite how chaotic the world actually is. Why? Why does entertainment even exist? Well, I won't answer that for you, especially because that is a video on its own. But the truth of the matter is quite overwhelming for me personally. To me, it's scary to think that other people are suffering while we're living this easy, very cushy life. And not only is this an easy life, it's a life that I want to be more luxurious. I want it to be more entertaining, and that's where a lot of my focus goes. So today I'm posing the question, what actually matters for one good reason? You see, I don't understand other people and what their feelings are around this topic. And I think by understanding people's answers to this question, we can understand a lot more about them. Now, the question is absolutely individually unique and it's very subjective, so this isn't a video to answer this question outright. Rather, you can think of it as a thought exercise, a way to maybe reaffirm your beliefs, challenge your ideas, or share your thoughts in the comments below. To start, let's ask some questions that are fairly redundant, or maybe not. Let's break down the question here. What really matters? Here are some questions. What do I mean by what? What do I mean by really? And what do I mean by matters, all put together? So here we go. When I say what, I mean the world, everything it comprises, every decision you've made, every goal you've set, every event that has existed past, present, and future to the corners of the galaxy and beyond. What means all that is or shall be in our world? What do I mean by really? Really meaning what is real? What is true? What is true to us? When connected with the next word matters, meaning what is relevant to us and what is important, it asserts the implication that there is a hierarchy, a way to determine the importance of things from least important to most important. It suggests the idea that some things can be foregone, discarded, and in a world so expansive, we as people cannot care about everything. We all play our own role and we all have our own focuses, but what really matters? There are people who tackle this question in many ways, some who overthink, some who live without worry, others who make it up as they go. Whoever you are, the question still affects your life in more ways than you might realize. For example, if you're an overthinker, you'd realize we are in a world where life and death exist. What matters? Well, matters. You can easily overthink into an existential crisis, perhaps even a loss of will to continue, a perpetual confusion about being or existing, or profound new ideas about life and its mystery. If you live life making it up as you go, you can just keep finding new things that matter in different ways and at different levels and keep your drive for living and being motivated fresh. You might be someone who has a belief that governs all others, such as religion and God first, and then everything else that matters is underneath. Or maybe all of this is too much to think about, and you just do things you're content with and go through the motions, just existing. No matter which way you feel about the question, one thing will always be true. We all live on this planet together, which means what matters to you can be different to someone else in varying degrees. If you sit down and think for a moment, most disagreements that humans have are over a difference of values. So we're going to talk about values and how they differ between humans. You can take this example and use it and apply it to people in your real life to see how maybe a disagreement started over your difference in values between someone else. And here's the example. A child argues with his mother about cleaning his room. There, that's the example. Perhaps the child values freedom and having fun more than keeping a clean room, whereas the mother values structure, organization, principles about growth and development in their child. And because they value that so much more than fun, now we have a disagreement. You see, if the mother valued fun and freedom as much as the child did, more than that structure, that organization, then the kid would go and leave the mess. But if not, then you're going to have an argument. You're going to have a disagreement. This is where you have conflict. Now ask yourself, the last time you had an argument, where was your difference in values? What was it that you valued and they valued, and where was the mismatch? How can you use this to your advantage? We as human beings work to come to compromise, to let other people see our points of view. Maybe we want to persuade someone that their value structure is wrong. But I wanted to ask yourself, how often do you take a look at your own values and lists and priorities in order and ask yourself, are we valuing something that, well, we really value, that really matters to us, or perhaps really should matter? Because maybe there's some things that we value very highly but aren't necessarily good for us. Should I be doing drugs, or should I be going to church and reading books? And vice versa. You see, people will have different values, and because somebody might value drugs more than church, they might do drugs and not go to church, or they might value church more and then they go to church. When it comes to compromise, when it comes to helping other people see your point of view, or perhaps even changing someone's mind, you might have to tell someone, hey, you really value something. What do you value the most? What's the most important thing to you? And well, the person doing drugs might say, hey, I really, really value living a long time. You might go, well, I think those drugs you're doing are going to lower your life expectancy. They might say, really? Maybe I shouldn't do them. This is obviously not so easy with drug addiction, but you get the idea. What I'm saying is, if someone really did value their life more than anything else, they're probably not going to continue doing those drugs if that's what their value system is based on, and if they perceive the threat of those drugs to be real. Let's give another example, because at the end of the day, maybe you know what you should be doing, but you're struggling with it. You should sleep, but you love watching TV, and sleep helps your work performance, but you prioritize your enjoyment because a little bit of relaxation matters more to you in the moment. And also you think, well, if I don't get this relaxation, how am I going to feel okay? And then you lose 2 to 3 hours of sleep. And then you're kind of not okay anyways. I'll leave you with this. You get to decide if you want to change your priorities around. You get to decide what really matters. I'll see you in the next video. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Peace.